Hey y'all, so your reading focus this week is going to be talking about previewing a selection. So when you're talking about previewing, we want you to be able to, by the end of today or this week, to be able to preview a selection by looking at the cover and illustrations and by reading titles and headings. So I underlined that word preview because it's kind of a new word, but preview, if I think about that, I kind of think about when I used to go to the movie theater, or if I would watch a movie at home, and you think about those things at the beginning, those are called movie previews. So if I'm just looking at something and I don't get the whole thing, that's my preview. So if I were to preview this book right here, what do you think that might be about? I'm just looking at it, and if I look at the pictures first, I can see some squirrels, and I see that they look like they're getting in trouble because I see some bird feeders over here and they look like they're knocked out of the tree, and I see this one peeking out over here and he looks like he's kind of up to something. And then I see this man right here and he's got his fist up like he's shaking it, and I can see him yelling because his mouth is open. The bird doesn't look very happy, and then when I read the title, it says, "Those Darn Squirrels." So I can preview that just by looking at the title and looking at some of the illustrations. This book is next, so I'm just going to let you preview that one for a second. And while you're previewing, I want you to be thinking about how can the cover and the pictures help you understand that book. So when I look at the cover, I see this big huge shark coming out of the water. I can see his teeth, and I see the title is called Sharks. So I'm thinking that that's going to help me understand what's in this book. Do you think I'm going to be reading about alligators? No, I think I'm going to be reading about sharks. So if I open it, the title page says sharks, and it has some sharks swimming around and they're in the water. So I think I'm right. And then the table of contents will also help me because I see chomp, shark pups. I'm seeing all kinds of things about sharks still. All right, so this illustration looks like it's still about a shark, and maybe I'm going to learn about his mouth because I kind of see his mouth in the picture and it's open, and then the title says chomp. So that might help me think about what might be in that story. I'm still seeing a mouth. Now this one, let's see, what is the title? It says Shark Pups. So what do you think this would be about? That's right, the pups. So pups are baby sharks, and it shows some arrows to the little babies. So that's how this picture and this illustration is helping me understand what's in the book. I haven't read anything on the page, none of the text. I have read any of that because I don't want to do that right now. I'm just previewing. All right, on this page it says Pups Grow Up. That's the title or and the heading of this page. And then the illustration looks like this little pup is getting a little bit bigger. All right, on this page it says what big teeth you have. So I'm going to assume that this section is going to be all about shark teeth. So I'm using my background knowledge and activating my schema like we've talked about before to help me understand, ooh, I know that sharks have teeth, so maybe that's what they might look like. Remember, I'm not reading anything in there yet. I'm just looking. This one says, now you see them. So that's kind of getting me thinking about, I see the pictures, it's gotten black in the background, and this little guy kind of looks like he's shining a little bit. I don't know if you can see it very well, but he looks kind of shimmery. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe that shark is down deeper in the ocean. but it's kind of getting me interested to want to read. Oh, and now this is Now You Don't. What do you think that might be about? Because it took me a few minutes to figure out this right here is the shark. So that little guy is hiding all throughout and camouflaging, but I haven't even read any of the pages yet. And that says Shark Attack. And then there's a girl that looks like she's surfing, and it looks like maybe a shark bit her surfboard. People Attack, that's what this says. And I see a person in there, but I see a shark, so I'm wondering if that means that that shark is going to attack him. Maybe it won't. But when we preview a text, you're just quickly looking through, looking at the pictures, looking at the illustrations, looking at the title. This was about sharks, to see what the story is about. So the title, what information did the title give me? It told me sharks, so I'm assuming that that's probably what this book is going to be about. The cover, what information did the pictures or the illustration give me? Again, it was a shark, so what do you think that gave me? You're right, it's going to probably be about sharks, not squirrels, not cats, not dinosaurs, sharks. And then as I looked through, I was able to look at some titles or headings on the pages, and they had some other pictures. So your goal this week, again, I want you, as a reader, I can preview the selection by looking at the cover and illustrations and by reading titles and headings. So use your super smart brains and your background knowledge to look at some books that you might have. I had this one also, just looking at that page. It says Odd Animals. So I can assume that this little guy is kind of odd looking, and it might be that this book might be about an odd animal because I don't see him often. So that's your skill for the week. You can practice that with some of the books that you're reading and impress your mom and dad or your brothers or sisters, or call someone, call your mom or your grandma or your grandpa and say, hey, I can preview a selection, or which means it's a text or a book, by looking at the cover and illustrations and by reading the titles and the headings. You can use your knowledge from your own experience, because maybe you've seen one of these little guys before, or maybe you've seen one of these guys before, and help yourself with that by activating your schema. So use what you already know. You guys are super smart. We miss you, and have a good afternoon.